Hey, hey, nation. What a great way to start 2025. Good Lord. 2024 for me was a mixed bag, but it ended on a high note. So, pretty happy at the end of the day. That's not why we're here. Someone who's always got their pulse on the MSP industry, the tech industry, and a good attitude is Howard Cohen down in the Phoenix area. And Howard, what's the name of your corporate entity so we get that straight up front?
Our official name is the Tech Channel Partners Results Group.
Okay, great. We'll put a link in on that. So you just within the last month dropped a piece in Redmond Channel Partner, and I'm glad that pub's still around. I consider them to be a little bit more intellectual, and I mean in a kind way academic. They're not caught up in who got fired and who got divorced and who got hired. Right? I'm done. I'm done.
That's why I write for them. Yep.
So you did the marching orders for 25. Thank you. Walk us through it. Tell us what are some high level thoughts, and I'm going to link off to it.
Well, we've been doing the marching orders. I look back, we've been doing them for 17 years, which is amazing. Scott Becker started them 17 years ago, and I've been involved for just about all of it. And the idea is to share ideas as to what you should be focused on in the coming year.
Yep.
This year, I really kind of got back to basics. I really didn't, not much of what I had to say focused on any particular vendor, if you will, or any particular technology for that matter. But I mean, fundamental things like knowing your costs. A million years ago, and remember, I was in the channel for a million years before I started writing about it.
Yeah, don't get me going about dinosaurs and tech. Try to get a job in the Silicon Valley. That and 2 bits will get you right on the T in Boston. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, back when dirt was new, I had an experienced service executive say to me, in a state of drunken stupor. He said, "Howard, you know what the difference is between a great service organization and a not so great service organization?" And I was like, "No, Bob." Now I braced myself because Bob could be long-winded. And he looked at me, he nodded his head a couple of times, said, "The difference is the great service organization knows its costs." And he stopped right there. I was expecting a half hour. And I got knows its costs. And in the ensuing 20 some odd years, I've learned how right he was.
I agree.
I think, when I ask MSPs, are you profitable? And they say they don't know. When we drill back to figure it out, it's because they don't know what their costs are. They don't know how to estimate or how to compute their costs. There's a lot in, you have to fully burden your costs. You have to equate in utilization of your personnel. There's a lot to it. You need somebody who's a really good bookkeeper, a really good accountant, to look at that before you can really get to know, in any service business, get to know your costs. So knowing your costs was my first one. The other one,
Howard, if you don't mind, let me introduce you. I'll put the link in the teaser blog. I talked to you about that hotshot keynote speaker, Dan Martell, who's the founder of SaaS Academy and came out with a good book, Buy Back Your Time.
Yep.
And he has a chapter, and by the time this publishes, I will have finished it. But he has a soft cost conversation about Howard's time and Harry's time. And the bottom line is, why is Harry running to FedEx to make photocopies? Right? That's expensive for me to do that. But go on. You get the point.
Well, my point really focuses more on people who charge $50 an hour for a technician and don't realize that they're only selling half that technician's time.
That's
so
right.
the $40 cost they computed now becomes $80 because they're only recapturing it in half the time. Things like that can trip you up very, very easily. The second one really is very consistent with what a lot of other people are talking about lately, which is defining what you do. I've been saying for several years now that MSPs will follow the model of healthcare medicine. That is, there'll be general practitioners, sure, and we all are general practitioners today.
Yeah.
But in the future, you're going to see specialists. Just like your doctor sends you to specialists for everything these days, technology is going the same way. You'll have storage specialists and networking specialists and data science specialists and all kinds of specialists. And
Yep.
those who are doing that now, who are really focusing down on what they do, are winning. They're seeing much higher returns on their investment in their companies. The popular question that comes up whenever we talk about that is, well, what project only contains one skill? Most projects, you need to have a variety of skills. And this is where it aligns with something we've all been talking about, which is you partner for the rest. You have other specialists that you turn to who you have vetted, who you have evaluated very, very carefully, who you have established great relationships with, and you turn to them to provide all those other services. So, when you say it takes a village in IT these days or going forward, I think it's going to take a village. And Microsoft, of all companies, told us this 15 years ago when they invented their uniqueness rule. You can only have four people take one test. They can't take more than one test and qualify you for more than one specialization. So they said, declare what you do, declare who you are, and find partners to do the rest of it. I'm just rolling through it as I'm talking to you.
Yeah. No, give us 3 or 4 points, and then I'm going to direct people to go,
look at the article. That'd be great. One of the things I'm seeing lately is that a lot of people are putting a lot of concentration and investment into doing very basic fundamental things. MSPs are doing they're still doing a lot of network monitoring where that's not their specialty. That's not what they do well. And they're not measured on it. Their customer isn't looking at them for that. And there are plenty of other partners who can do it for you. Don't invest heavily in the things you're not going to be measured on, because you're not going to be measured on them. You invest in the things that customers are looking to you for. And then there's let me focus in on the one that is most important to me. I recently did a session called MSP for MSP, Marketing Services Professionally for Managed Service Providers.
Yeah.
And I look around me and I see a lot of MSPs advertising the way they always did, with fax blasts and email blasts and postcards and gaudy ads, and it's an anachronism. It's yesterday's news. Today, you're not focused on reselling somebody else's products. You're focused on selling your services, which puts you in league with lawyers and accountants and architects and other professionals. Well, how do they market? They market through networking. They market through creating a community. There's a lot of ways in which they market. And as a matter of fact, my Substack, Tech Channel Marketing, is all about that. It's all about the things you can do.
Yeah, and let me once again, interrupt you that years ago, you may remember the late Robert Cohen from Toronto.
Of course.
Yeah, he had a seat at the table, no doubt about it. And he was all about, do you remember, God, this goes back to the early SMB Nation spring shows, but we used to do basically classroom training. At the end of the day, you got a certificate as a trusted business advisor, TBA. And the idea was, my spin on it is it was a little bit like what they like to call in DC, the kitchen cabinet, right? You get elected president and you have these advisors, and they're not in a formal role, but they're pretty powerful. And I always felt that, a TBA should be at the table in the boardroom with the accountant, the lawyer, right? We're a profession. We should be at that meeting, but go on.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Harry. It's a parallel to the CIO, who most recently started becoming more of a part of the C-suite.
Yeah.
CIO used to be focused on technology. They're now focused on the business and how to leverage technology to make it better. Yeah, I'm working pretty heavily with the National Society of IT Service Providers, NSITSP, because they're focused on elevating the professional posture of our profession. And, we're trying to shift it from being considered an industry to being considered truly a profession, because business owners, business executives turn to us for exactly that. They turn to us to be their advisor, to be, their CIO in many cases. So I think that that's also a very important thing to think about. What are you? Who are you? How do you want to be seen? To market yourself effectively, you have to define yourself very
Yeah.
thoroughly. And I think all too many of us are still thinking reseller rather than thinking service provider. And the other thing that goes into that, of course, is expanding your offerings. I think one thing that every MSP wants to do is add more services to their portfolio. Well, there's lots of ways of doing that. And most of them think, well, I've got to hire new people, train new people, and it's a lot of time and it's a lot of money. And the reality is, if you're partnering effectively, you can add new services. If you're looking at vendors, look at vendors who will sell you their product. You use the product on behalf of your customer, and you wrap that product with your own services. Now, even though you can't compete on price for the product, you don't have to. Your profit's going to come from the sale of your services surrounding that product. So I think in 2025, I guess the overall message that I'm trying to convey is get serious. Get serious about your business. And is it a business? Is it an industry? Is it a, it's a practice.
Yeah, lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a professional practice, and if you're going to sell it because it's a lifestyle business and you're getting prepared to retire from it, great. There are going to be much more interesting returns on selling a professional practice than on selling a reseller organization.
Yeah.
So
well, hey, final thoughts. Give us another nugget, and we'll go from there, man.
Okay, let's talk about the fundamental shape of MSPs and how it's changing.
Okay.
If there's one complaint I've heard over the years consistently, it's that they can't find salespeople. It's hard to find good salespeople. And my advice is don't try. Stop looking for great salespeople. Consider yourself a professional practice and run yourself that way. That is to say that let it be your senior partner who is doing the selling, because your customer wants to talk to somebody who really knows what they're talking about. So if you've got your MSP practice and you're the president of it or a senior executive in it, you're the one who should be doing the selling. Now, you can have all kinds of people beneath you setting appointments for you, going out and penetrating new opportunities for you and bringing you in. But focus on the idea that it's your smarts, it's your intelligence that the customer wants to buy, and who has a better grip on that than you do. So, if there's a last comment, that I think should sing from the article and from my thoughts, it is, look at your practice anew, look at your role anew. It's very likely that you are the best salesperson you will ever have.
Yeah, the founder is always the best salesperson, has been my experience.
Yep, I agree.
And that's what they should do, and they get caught up. Howard, you're aware, no names please, but you're aware of the side hustle I did about 2.5 years for a data center client up in Round Rock, north of Boston. And he's one of the best salespeople I've ever seen. I mean,
he is.
Yeah, nobody can work a booth better. And but then he gets caught up in stuff. micromanaging people, and it's just not his gift. And respectfully, but yeah, I stay in touch with them. They're,
Once long ago, I was called in to consult in a to be unnamed practice. And the president of that practice wanted me to tell him what he could be doing to build up the practice, to make it bigger. And I ended up telling him that he doesn't need more executives. What he needs is a president. And I said, and he looked at me, he said, but I'm the president. And I said, yeah, and you suck at it. And it shook him up. But I said, look, let me prove it to you, okay? Calculate your sales and all of your salespeople's sales. Who sold the most? He said, probably I did. I said, by how much? And he looked at me like I had three heads. I said, if you don't know those numbers, you're not being a good president. Let's just start there. But the fact is, you individually outsold all of your salespeople taken together. You sold more than half of your company's sales last year. That means that you could fire all of them and be more profitable. So my first piece of advice is fire your salespeople. It was crazy, but it points out that, yeah, more often than not, as you look at Connectwise. Connectwise just dropped, and Jay McBain reported on this just last week. They just dropped from the first place in PSA RMM platforms to second. That's the first time in 29 years. And let me tell you, I think the difference.
That fly by. I didn't read it. Thank you for the.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I think the difference is. A guy came to sell me Connectwise in 1996.
Yeah, Arnie. Yep.
Arnie Bellini. And man, if it wasn't the fact that he was on the wrong platform at that time, we definitely would have been like his first customer. He was great. I watched him at a show with a megaphone, calling people over to enter a contest at his booth.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, this is the penultimate sales guy. And without him, I suspect Connectwise is going to have more of a struggle. He was a big differentiator for him. So, don't sell yourself short. You're a big differentiator for your company.
Yeah, he, as I recall, I know his dad did, and I think Arnie did, came up through the IBM system, which is good because that's like saying Steve Ballmer learned marketing at Procter and Gamble. Yep. Well, that's a gold standard, dude.
Absolutely. Hey, our buddy McBain came up through IBM.
Yeah. Well, there we are. There we are.
A lot of successful people.
Well, hey, happy holidays. They're obviously on the downslide as this is being published. I'm talking to you just a few days before we get to the last couple major dates, Christmas and it. Help me out. Is Hanukkah overlapping with this time frame? Okay.
Hanukkah is very late this year. It starts actually on the 27th.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Christmas vacation will be Hanukkah vacation too.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's great. All right, my friend. Good health. Thank you very much.
Same to you, my friend.